All right, so we are into the NFL playoffs, guys, and let's just review the game so far, who we think's going to win. And New York Giants fans got to be feeling terrible, and grew up a Giants fan and still am a New York Giants fan. You know, the people from Rover Sports will, know that about me. In all honesty, they will know that. I do shows, for local sports in Philadelphia, so I do that as well. And I'm objective that the Eagles are the best team probably in football. Howie Roseman was able to take Jalen Carter. Jalen Carter has been fine with the Philadelphia Eagles. Like, they've taken talented guys that might not be like easiest to, quote unquote, just like work with, like even A.J. Brown. The reason Tennessee traded him is because A.J. Brown will read books during the middle of the game, or because A.J. will complain about targets when the team is doing well. So he's maintenance, and that's the only reason why he was available as the talent of talent in Tennessee. And they thought that Treylon Burks could be really good, so they just missed on that pick. In terms of NFL, yeah, they missed on the pick. I mean, Burks, the guy, I think it's Treylon Burks. Guy played at Arkansas. He's from rural Arkansas. He hunts hogs. Like, the guy's just a beast. Great guy. But at Arkansas, he was all rural, good, fast as lightning. But it didn't work out in the NFL. All right, so a big miss there from John Robinson and the Tennessee Titans. But really, I look at the Eagles and, Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith ended up working, Nakobe Dean. So their medical staff is 1,000% ahead of everybody. Their analytics are that much better. You got to play numbers ball. When you have the numbers available, that's what Howie Roseman does. He accumulates the cap better. And then Jeff Stoutland, their offensive line, they just outstudy and outwork everybody. And they outsmart everybody in the damn NFL. Like Cam Jurgens in the second round, perfect pick as a center. Mekhi Becton is a failed tackle. Like, they just switch him up and resurrect his career and make him great. They can make anybody great. They'll take Evan Neal and make him into an all-pro. They'll take any bust as a tackle and make them into an all-pro guard. They'll take any cornerback anywhere in the draft and make them relevant. Christian Parker, their coaching staff, they made it work with Vic Fangio. So the only way that you beat Philadelphia is, Kellen Moore might get hired in the cycle. Jalen Hurts is eventually going to get older in about 2 or 3 years. I doubt Jalen will be the quarterback in 4 years in Philly. Now, I could be very wrong on that. Right now, he's a really great quarterback. But again, the way that the Eagles are playing Jalen Hurts of constantly doing the QB sneak, the brotherly shove, when I'm telling you, Jalen's knees, his body's going to break down playing this reckless style of football. And Jalen, as a pocket passer, is a good player, but I don't really see him being elite. So when he starts to slow down, which is going to eventually happen with Father Time, I'm just being realistic. In about 4 years, the Eagles are going to treat Hurts the same way they treated Carson Wentz, and they're going to move on probably from Jalen Hurts. So if Jalen's playing ball at 32, 33, winning playoff games, then I'll admit I'm wrong. And Jalen's already surpassed my expectations for his career. He might end up winning a Super Bowl, and he's going to be close to being a Hall of Fame level player. He's just so consistent year in and year out. And the Eagles have kind of built a dynasty in the NFC. They're going to win the NFC 2 out of 3 years. That's unbelievable to be playing in the Super Bowl 2 out of every 3 years. The Eagles and Niners have dominated this NFC, and they've done it with really good defensive line play, really solid quarterback play, organizational structure just being phenomenal, very good drafting, all right? And I guess Kyle Shanahan's kind of out there in San Francisco, but Sirianni has just done an incredible job. He's brilliant with time management, situational ball. And again, the coordinator hires have just been spectacular. Shane Steichen and I think Gannon's a really good coach. They even had Nick Rallis that is going to be, a coach that has stemmed from the Sirianni tree. Now you're going to have Kellen Moore probably go out to Dallas. So you're going to have to bring in a running game specialist or something. So, And Fangio ended up being brilliant, and the older defensive coordinator, I thought he lost his fastball, but no, so when every draft pick hits, you're going to win. And Howie Roseman and this team, they don't miss on draft picks, and that's why they're the best team in the NFL. That's why they're probably going to end up winning the Super Bowl, because Jalen Carter's good, Nolan Smith is good, Landon Dickerson, every single player works on their team. All right, and it's so crazy. Like, the NFL let them get Jalen Carter because Jalen Carter had a drag racing incident at the University of Georgia. And then, A.J. Brown, again, character concerns in Tennessee, didn't get along with the Tennessee locker room. Like, Philadelphia picks him up. They make it work out. Saquon Barkley as a running back, he's a very, very special, great player. And that's where it's frustrating with the New York Giants. Like, the New York Giants are not proactive. The Philadelphia Eagles are always hiring the best. They always have better analytics. They always are outsmarting the New York Giants, and it's been this way for about 12 years. The New York Giants, they won one playoff game against Minnesota, and then they scored 0, got shut out. That's all you have for literally 15 years of your life. For 13 years, you have been one of the crappiest and most awful football programs, one of the worst franchises, not only in the NFL, but in all of sports. And you would have died to have Mike Tomlin seasons where at least you're getting playoff games, and at least you're winning regular season games, and at least you're having fun in October and November. For Giants fans, when you get to the middle of October, your season's over. All right, it's dead on arrival when the weather starts to tick below 60 degrees. It's flat out embarrassing. All right, and it's just John Mara not being proactive enough, just not being, just I don't know if it's laziness, but just not working, not analyzing, not self-identifying that the Philadelphia Eagles are a little bit or better, and you got to hire like Alec Hallaby. You got to look at their offensive line coach. You got to constantly cycle through coaches. You got to fire Brian Dable. You got to get in a better. You got to have a plan. Are you building it through quarterback play, or are you building it through the defensive side of the football? Who are you trying to be? What model of franchise are you trying to be? Are you trying to be QB-centric, or are you trying to be like a defensive-led team where the QB, again, is a good player, but you're just defensively elite? And I kind of tend to think towards the other side. I mean, maybe you go out and get Cam Ward, and then you're going to just have to draft just brilliantly in the draft when you have Cam Ward. So maybe you give the farm for Ward, and then maybe you maybe give the farm for Cam Ward, and then you have to just draft defense for the next freaking 7 years. All right. And maybe you do that, right? And then try to, I mean, it's tough, right? Because you still got to you still got to find a tackle. You still got to find an offensive line and a defensive coordinator if you are the New York Giants. So, if you can't get Cam Ward, then you probably have to pivot, and you should probably go out there and draft either, what's the guy's name from Penn State? Abdul Carter, or you need to draft Will Campbell, because he'll bring that attitude nasty. Maybe Will Campbell's Lane Johnson, or is Kelvin Banks going to be like Laramie Tunsil in the NFL? If Kelvin Banks is that good, you have to hit on a tackle at number 3, a tackle or a premium edge rusher. You don't need an amazing cornerback at the third pick. I mean, Derek Stingley is not winning Houston games. He's really, really good. All right, Travis Hunter is not going to win you these big games. A great pass rusher is going to win you a game, and a pair of tackles, offensive tackles, are going to win you, big time. If you have Andrew Thomas and say you have Will Campbell, and Will Campbell's like a stud left tackle, you have to find out, and it's hard because I think Will's a little bit smaller at some parts. He's in the running game, he's tough, but I don't know. Will athletically, is he athletically so there with a guy like Kelvin Banks? Because Kelvin Banks just looks very, very athletic and smooth. Will's a little bit choppier, but Will still gets where he needs to get to, really good at fighting, very good positionally. So, and Will, of course, from Monroe, Louisiana, Will is just a legend at LSU, and Kelvin Banks is from Houston and 5-star, all of that. So, it's tough. But and then in the AFC, you have the Buffalo Bills, you have the Baltimore Ravens. The Bills are mature now. They got rid of Stephon Diggs. So what they're doing right now is Josh Allen's like, I'm all about winning. I don't give a crap about the stats. I don't care about hitting Gabe Davis or hitting Stephon Diggs a million times and putting together all these passing yards like he did with Dable. I'm just in the running the football and finding a way to win. And that's what this Buffalo offense is. It's fun to watch. It's using the running backs. It's using a little bit of tight end play. All the receivers, whoever gets it, gets it. And the weapons in the AFC title game. Boy, oh boy, like you look at the best wide receiver cores in the NFL, like they're not really factoring into the playoffs at all. I mean, in Washington, you have Terry McLaurin, who's a decent receiver, who's maybe a top 15 receiver in the NFL. Philadelphia, you do have, A.J. Brown, who's your top 5 receiver. But Buffalo and Kansas City, you don't have anybody in that game that's even in the top 25 of weapons. You could maybe say, like, I guess Kelsey. I'm not sure about Shakir. Maybe he's probably the best that Buffalo has. So the weapons are just not really there, especially in the AFC. So in the AFC, like Zay Flowers ended up getting injured. I guess you could say running back wise. So maybe but we're talking wide receiver wise. You had Zay Flowers, Mark Andrews, and Isaiah Likely are usually really good. I know Mark had a tough day yesterday, but Mark can still be a Hall of Famer. The weapons just aren't, like Minnesota has great weapons. Who else has the best receivers in the Cincinnati Bengals have great receivers. The Miami Dolphins have a wonderful receiving core. The Detroit Lions have very, very, like Amon-Ra St. Brown is a great receiver. These receivers, it's not really becoming of a passing league. The Houston Texans have better receivers. It's somehow becoming a running backs, tight ends league with mobile quarterback play. And efficient, not getting a ton of yards, not turning it over, but your years of explosive passing plays and throwing it down the field, those days are not really here right now. But the NFL eventually, like maybe in 4 or 5 years, will go back to maybe more of a passing league, winning big-time games. In the regular season, you might see it with Jared Goff, Baker Mayfield. You might see it with some quarterbacks. Lamar Jackson could put up big stats. C.J. Stroud is going to be a quarterback that puts up, big numbers. But unfortunately, we're seeing Josh and Patrick Mahomes. Jayden Daniels, I will admit, does put up big passing statistics. But every team, like having quarterbacks who really throw it in the tight windows or having receivers go off, I'd say that the 2000s, the 2010s to the 2020s were probably the best year for pure pocket passers, and now quarterbacks are just more athletic, able to be dual threat kind of quarterbacks. All right, so interesting where we're at in the playoffs. I'll take the Eagles, and, unfortunately for Buffalo, I'm probably going to take Kansas City, but it's a complete toss-up. But, I think Buffalo can do it. I like this Bills team a lot, so going back and forth on it, I might take Bills over Eagles in the Super Bowl. Crazy year, but I'll do that. Bills slightly over Kansas City, but again, you saw the deliberation there. So it's so hard to bet against Mahomes. I feel the Bills are probably the most poised that they're ever going to be. This is their best chance they're ever going to have to win. They can do it. So, and then Bills-Eagles is a total toss-up in the bowl as well. We'll be close. These NFL games will be close. All righty, guys. Thanks for watching.